There are two kinds of people in this world. The people who fail to do what they know they should, and those who keep doing things they know they shouldn't. Guess what? You're both. Hi, I'm your host, life and business coach, Marcy Barker, aka your loving kick in the pants. In this podcast, I'll teach you the 6 steps of my accountability code that will help you wake up with clarity and show up with aligned action steps that make follow through easy and peaceful. All right, let's jump in. Hello, my beautiful people. I am here with my client, Nicole. She is amazing. She is a massage therapist, and I absolutely enjoy my massages enough that I send my husband to her and I send my kids to her as well. So thank you for being here, Nicole.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Tell us about your stage of life and a little bit about yourself.
I describe my stage of life as in the thick of it. I've got kids in all the stages, and I do all the things. So yeah, I'm in the thick of it.
Nice. I'm saying nice, like I'm here for you. Yeah.
We need those people.
We were playing a game earlier and somebody asked, what are you obsessed with? And everybody it was so sweet because what did you say? What are you obsessed with right now?
My baby.
Yay. That's
Yes.
cute. I like holding the babies, but I'm like taken back. So
Yeah.
in the thick of it. So what would you say is one of the main factors in your life right now when it comes to personal growth?
One of the main factors is being the kind of person I want my kids to grow up to be.
You can't ever go wrong. That's like how I got married. I was like, I'm going to be the person that I want to be with. And that did not lead me astray. So that's really awesome. When we started with the accountability code, I was looking for massage therapists for my retreat. And I interviewed a lot. And I had a lot of questions because I've had nightmare experiences with massage therapy. And Nicole is just amazing. So what got you into massage therapy and what is your favorite part about what you do?
So what got me into massage therapy is I always wanted to do it. I was always interested in doing it. My hands always have to be moving. So I kind of had an interest in that area. But 7 years ago when my 5th son was born, he was born and had 3 strokes.
Oh, wow.
And so he wasn't able to move the right side of his body. And we didn't know what his life was going to look like. All the doctors, they sent us to all the therapies. I mean, we're talking like anything you can think of, even down to vision therapy. I didn't even know it existed, but it does. But when he was going to physical therapy, the one thing they told us was just massage him. Just massage him, and that will be the best thing for him. So that's what I did. And he's 7 now, and you can't tell physically that anything's wrong. And so when I saw the improvement, the drastic improvement he was making with massage, I thought, I have to learn this because I have got to be able to help others.
I love that. That is really powerful too, to be able to provide the thing your child needs. So that's really amazing. When I brought my daughter to you, I was like, this is a thing. Like, I'm bringing my child to a massage therapist because normally that's not a thing. Like, how many people do that? You don't trust anybody with their kids or even like, why would my kid need a massage? They don't need to relax, sort of thing. And that just pays a tribute to how much I trust you. And you're really, really good at what you do.
Thank you.
So when we started working together, what was your main goal?
My main goal was to also launch a coaching program. Yeah.
Because you have experience already coaching, but not for yourself.
Right. Yeah. I wanted to launch that part so I could do that for myself as well, just on my own.
So one of the beautiful and sometimes frustrating things about the accountability code is that it reveals the perfect action steps for you. So give people a little bit of insight about how the accountability code kind of like slapped you upside your head and was like, hey girl, I know you wanted to work on this, but here's what you need to do. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I really had a lot of ambitious goals. And so I was like, okay, I need to do this. And I had the steps to take, but my body was not cooperating with my mind. Like, I couldn't physically get myself to do the things I knew I needed to do. And I wanted to be accountable. I wanted all of this stuff, but I couldn't physically do it. And so it was one of those things where I had to stop and take a step back and say, why am I not able to show up how I want to? And that's where everything went astray, at least in my design of things.
Yeah, I remember hearing your frustration of like, I know what I need to do, but my body is just not on the same page. And we went through the accountability code again, like we always do, and it revealed like time for you to put your health first. And I was really impressed with how quickly you were able to get on the right plan for you. How did you know that the plan you followed was right for you?
Well, I think a lot of the reflection helped. A lot of the steps, honestly, through the accountability code kind of helped because you can go through those and, you can do your research, you can find out what's going on with you. But then recognizing that it's your job and you have to be accountable to yourself to be able to fix your problem. And you can't depend on anyone else to find the right diagnosis, to give you the right treatment plan. And so it was doing all of the steps kind of that we learn so that I could find the right program for me.
Yeah, perfect. And even when you found it, like, nobody can force you to eat the right things or force you to get out of bed or to do more reflection. Like, you took it on and did it all. And I love that you're like, we ain't wasting time. Like,
right.
In order for me to move forward, like, we got to take care of this first, which I really love because sometimes I am like, oh, this kind of sucks. Like, they wanted to do this, but I'm not going to deny them of what really needs to happen here. So that's why I'm like, no promises. Like, the accountability code is going to do its thing. And as long as you're honest with what needs to happen, then it's all going to work out. So it was just really cool to see that transformation. So what would you say was a defining wake up and show up moment for you?
That's a good question. I feel like, the defining wake up and show up moment, we had that call and I got really emotional with you and really real. And I was just like, this is not happening. It's not going anywhere. I have to shift gears. And I remember just like being so upset on the call that that's what had to take place. But, the fact that you were like holding space and you're like, it's okay. Just do it. Like, you know what you've got to do. Just do it. And that gave me permission, not only permission, but the right support to be able to get done what I needed to for my health. And to see also that, like, okay, if I take care of this, then I can get to the big goal that I want to do.
Yeah, love that. I'm glad you recognize that because when people started telling me I was really good at holding space, I was like, what does that mean? Like, it's kind of a hippie term, but not really. I just was not familiar with it. And when I was in Guatemala writing my book, there were a lot of hippie people there. And I would just listen to their conversations and I just straight up told them, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm here to learn. And I am just fascinated by all these words that you're using. And they said, you're very good at holding space for people figuring things out. And so I loved being able to do that because when we do get frustrated or we have to shift gears or it's like our health is making us act or think different things, it's like the very best thing that somebody can give you is love and understanding. So I'm glad that you felt that because I loved getting on our calls because you are so real, but you're also very matter of fact. Like, I'm not going to play this down. I'm not going to call it something else. Like, this is just what it is. And I'm going to get through it because I'm bomb and I'm figuring myself out. So I really loved the transition that we went through and there's still more to come. Lots of big goals and all of that. Hey listeners, the message of waking up and showing up is yours for the taking. In fact, it's free. I've recorded my entire audiobook and I'd love for you to consume it between episodes. Head to marcybarker.com to get instant access to the accountability code Wake Up and Show Up. All right, let's jump back in. What did your loving kick in the pants feel like? Or was there a moment where you're like, oh, dang it, okay, I'm gonna do it. I don't really want to, but I know I need to.
I think my loving kick in the pants was that moment that we talked about. Just that moment when it was like, okay, I have to put down the big goal that I really want and take care of my health and surrender. I think it's a good word. Surrender the big, huge goal and that was okay. Like, it was okay. And yeah, you need to do that. Like, that support, like, that you gave me, it was like, yes, you need to do that. Because often when we have these great big goals and they're so amazing, people want to see us do that and they don't want to see us put it down for something that might be sidetracking, if you will, right?
Yeah.
But I loved that you were able to see, no, you do need to take care of your health first, because if you don't do that, you can't get to the other things. Because a lot of people would be like, why can't you do it in tandem? And that was not going to work.
Yeah. And just like you said, and recognize, like, you're in the thick of it. It's not just you taking care of you, but it's you taking care of you and all the people and your business goals and your own finances and your own ambition. Was there a specific story in the book that resonated with you in the workbook?
Yeah, it was the meditation story where, you talk about, yeah,
My
the,
sausage butt
yes,
pants.
yes, I appreciated it very much. That's one thing I really loved about your stories too, is they're very real and relatable. And so, like, I think many of us have had those moments. And I hadn't even thought, like, I don't have a full length mirror in my house.
Oh, really?
So I have never, like, looked at all of my clothes at once. Well, not never, but in a while.
Yeah.
Just put it that way. And so, like, when I read that, I was like, oh my goodness. And then also just that I can say yes to things and I can say no to things. And it doesn't have to be all yes or all no. It can be some in between. But really, I have the power to choose. And the meditation idea is to be still enough to figure out what it is you need to say yes to. And that was really powerful.
I love that. A little bit of context for the listeners. In meditation practice, I talk about taking tangible items and recognizing if it's love coming your way or if it's like resistance. I won't spoil the whole thing, but there was a pair of leggings that I wore to the gym. And when I saw what my butt looked like, I was like, oh no, I will never do that again. So I started associating these blue pair of pants with very negative feelings. And we learned how to do that on the opposite end. Like, what tangible items around me really show love and feel love. And it is all about saying yes and saying no. So what would you say you're saying yes to right now? And what are you saying no to right now?
I'm saying no to the really big, ambitious goal, which is really, really hard to do when you have a lot of big dreams. But I am saying yes to my health, which, will allow me to be who I want to be for my kids. I'm saying yes to living a long life. Yeah.
I love that. And it totally fits into the very first goal that you said, is being the person that you want your kids to be. Or set that example so that they know, because it would be a big disservice if you did reach all of your big goals, but your health was declining at the same time, because at the end of the day, your kids want you. They don't want all of your big goals. So,
well, and my big goals are so I can be more present with my kids, right? And provide for them. Yeah. Give them hope. Yeah.
Good. And there's still so much life left to do all the things. And sometimes it's just a matter of, this is the stage, this is the time, this is a season for something specific. So I absolutely love that. What is something that you want to leave with the listeners? Is there any piece of advice you would give to somebody who is really wanting to be more accountable?
I think one of the other things I recognize through this is that being accountable for yourself and learning those lines changes your life incredibly in every way, but in really the meaningful, small, little ways. In the little ways that you wake up in the morning and you say, how do I want to be accountable to the people around me? How do I want to be accountable to myself? Who do I want to be? And in those small ways, that's where the big changes happen.
I love that. It's true. Where'd you learn that?
I don't know, the accountability code, Marcy.
Cool.
No, really.
Well, I love your vulnerability, and I loved those couple of phone calls where we were just like, this is real life. This is what the deal is. Here's what I really care about. And when you put your health and your goals on a scale, it's like ding, like way unbalanced. And so it made it very clear, and which I love, because that's what the accountability code is for. So, had you not done it, maybe what would have happened?
I don't think it would have been as clear as quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really think it would have taken more work, because I was trying so hard to do something that I wouldn't have seen how bad my health was suffering. Oh. So I know where I was trying to show up so hard and it wasn't working, I wouldn't have found that as soon. Because I wouldn't have been working as hard to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for listening. And I've said this before, but the accountability code is not about you listening to me and doing all the things, but it's about you listening to you. And this was just a really perfect example. Okay, guys, Nicole's very passionate about this subject, empaths, and the fact that I am not an empath, but it's a very good thing that I'm not, because I'm what's considered an anchor
So I had this experience with you. I think it was actually when you came in for a massage once, and we had kind of talked at the end, and you you were walking out, and my thought was just like, huh, because we were having this, I don't know, I felt like it should have been a moment, and it wasn't, because you didn't come to that place with me, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think you could read the same, like, the emotion that I was having about it too, if that makes sense. And so you walked out, and I remember thinking, like, oh my goodness, like, I'm not sure about this person right now. And I was like, I don't know, because I didn't feel like, I don't know, I just had this disconnect for a second. And I was like, I'll put it on the back burner or whatever. And I kept doing the program with you. And then it came to that moment that we talked about where it was like super emotional and stuff. And I'll tell you honestly, when we had our call that morning, I was tempted to cancel because I was like, she's not going to get it. She's like, she's just going to be like, come on, you got to like muscle through. Or like, I didn't expect you to be as open and supporting and that, just meeting me where I was at kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when you did and we got off the phone, I was like, I was all wrong. I was all wrong. But it was one of those moments because I realized, yeah, well, you may not be empathic and you can't, feel my emotions just because they're there, which is it is a good thing because you have very good boundaries. And that let me be accountable for my stuff, right? And it made me like own up to that. But it also made me realize like, yeah, not everyone's going to meet me exactly where I'm at all the time. And I have to be responsible for that too.
Yeah. Well, I love that. And thank you for sharing because I was on the phone with somebody who was interested in my coaching and he's like, well, I'll tell you all of it later. He's like, there's a lot of stuff that goes along with it. I said, that's okay. But just so you know, like I'm really good at not caring about people's emotions. And we were just both laughing, but it is, and it's not that I am discarding them. It's like I'm not aware of them in the same way because my task at hand, my superpower is momentum and action. And so we were talking about how I was at a retreat and this lady was talking about kind of this quiz, like, are you an empath? And I stopped her and I said, I'm a little confused. Like, I get what you're saying. But this is not resonating with me. It just doesn't apply. Like, am I supposed to want to be an empath because it seems like everybody and their dog is an empath and I just am not there? And she said, no, Marcy brings up a good point. She said, do you recognize that you're sitting in the middle of the room right now? And I looked around and I was sitting on the floor. I was stretching. Everybody's sitting on couches. I was like, oh, okay. And she said, raise your hand if you have felt more comfortable being yourself because Marcy is here. And every hand went up. And I just was like kind of getting teary and I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Like, and the only way I can be a very solid anchor is if I'm grounded, if I'm sure in my foundation and I am practicing what I preach by connecting with God and doing what I'm supposed to. So that was really eye-opening for me. So it's also a way for me to be like, I'm sorry that we're not going to talk about your emotions. Like there's a place for that in the accountability code. But it's not the commitment step, So I love that.
Well, and it's important, like, because you don't go to that place, it allows people to have to own their stuff and not have someone else come in and say, well, let me tell you what to do with that. Right? That's not your job. Your job is to help them move forward in the ways they want. But you're leaving their responsibility, their accountability to their own emotions. You're not telling them what to do with it. You're not fixing it for them. You're giving them the steps to take care of it themselves, which is a huge thing.
And how exhausting would my job be if I had to make sure you did all the crap? It's like, that's what I love. And when I wrote my book, I felt like the message was coming through me, that it wasn't really something I created. And that gave me a lot of peace of like, I'm not here to fix people. I'm not here to kick, shove, drag. It's like, no, I'm here to hold space, ask the right questions, get to the right answers. And then, girl, did you do the thing that we talked about? So yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing. I always love hearing people's perspective or assumptions of me and then hearing how they've shifted. And it just makes me laugh because I love everybody, but I also love the feedback, Well,
you're just so originally you. And like in these spaces, especially with coaches, like a lot of times with coaches, you expect like someone that's going to meet you there and that's going to like be empathic and see these things and they're going to like talk you through them. And when you're like, no, I know my line, it like it was one of those moments when I had to take a step back and be like, wait, this is kind of refreshing. Like, it was one of those moments when I was like, wow, she is so grounded. And it does, I think that draws people to you too.
Thank
For
you.
sure.
So what would you say to the people who do feel that they're very empathetic? And I can have empathy still, right?
Oh, yeah.
Without being an empath. I have to remind myself, like, am I a narcissist? No, I'm not.
No.
I'm a Leo. That's all. That's all I am, is I love myself, and it's fine.
Well,
but I
and
love
there's
other people.
a difference between being empathetic and being an empath.
Okay.
Right? So you can be empathetic because you can get to the same emotion and feel the same thing with somebody. That's empathy, right? So you can be empathetic. But an empath reads and feels the emotions without necessarily being told them, right?
Or given permission to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, which is sometimes like that's where the mix up between, and I think, if we had stronger boundaries as empaths, then we could help people in a more accommodating way. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, to finish that story of the lady at the retreat, she was like, aren't you here to like speak on accountability and help people on their own crap? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes I am. Like, I'm an anchor. This is so cool. So I love this whole conversation. I made a post about not really an apology, but kind of an explanation to people who might be like, this girl doesn't care. And I'm just like, no, I'm waiting for you to invite me to those places. And then, if you're my client, then I'll deliver the loving kick in the pants when it's appropriate. But
right.
Anyway.
The ladder to get out of the hole we're in sometimes.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I love that. I know where to go when I need a check of like, how am I doing with people's emotions and all of that. So we will talk at my next massage.
Sounds good.
So everybody be like Nicole. And it doesn't hurt to go get a massage either from Nicole.
Never.
Yeah. So catch us at our next retreat because she'll definitely be back. But thank you. Thank you for being you. And thank you for being a guest with me.
Thank you.
Hey friends, I want to thank you for listening to this episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants. If you got any value out of this episode, I would love for you to drop me a review or share with a friend what you learned. All right, I'll see you next Wednesday for Your Loving Kick in the Pants.